Did you know Black history didn't start with slavery? It's a common misconception, but the truth is far more complex and fascinating. Black history spans thousands of years, from ancient African kingdoms to modern global movements. Let's start with a story you likely know. In 1619, the first recorded enslaved Africans arrived in English North America at Point Comfort, Virginia. This moment marked the beginning of institutionalized African slavery in what would become the United States. But long before this, Africa was home to thriving civilizations like the Kingdom of Kush and the Mali Empire. These societies were centers of trade, art, and innovation, shaping the world in ways we are only beginning to understand. Fast forward to 1688, when the Germantown Quaker petition against slavery was filed in Pennsylvania. This was one of the earliest organized anti-slavery protests in colonial America. The abolitionist movement gained momentum in the 1830s, leading to the creation of the Underground Railroad. This wasn't a literal railroad, but a secret network of routes, safe houses, and helpers dedicated to helping enslaved people escape to freedom. The American Civil War began on April 12, 1861, at Fort Sumter, South Carolina. 2 years later, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1, 1863. It declared enslaved people in Confederate-held territories free. However, it wasn't until June 19, 1865, that Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, announcing the end of slavery. This day became known as Juneteenth. The 13th Amendment, ratified on December 6, 1865, abolished slavery in the U.S., except as punishment for crime. The Reconstruction era followed, marked by the ratification of the 14th Amendment in 1868, granting citizenship to formerly enslaved people. The 15th Amendment, ratified in 1870, prohibited denying voting rights based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. But it didn't protect voting rights for women. The Jim Crow era began in the late 19th century, legalizing segregation nationwide after the Supreme Court's decision in Plessy v. Ferguson in 1896. The NAACP was founded in 1909, becoming the oldest major civil rights organization in the U.S. The Harlem Renaissance of the 1920s saw a flourishing of Black culture and intellect in Harlem, New York City. The civil rights movement gained momentum in the 1950s and 1960s. Rosa Parks' refusal to give up her seat on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, in 1955 sparked the Montgomery bus boycott, led by Martin Luther King Jr. The Supreme Court's ruling in Brown v. Board of Education in 1954 declared school segregation unconstitutional. The Little Rock 9 integrated Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, in 1957. The Greensboro sit-ins began in 1960. And the Freedom Rides challenged segregation in interstate travel in 1961. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were landmark pieces of legislation that outlawed discrimination and protected voting rights. Carter G. Woodson launched Negro History Week in 1926, which was expanded into Black History Month in 1976. The modern era has seen the rise of movements like Black Lives Matter, which began in 2013 after the acquittal of George Zimmerman in the killing of Trayvon Martin. In 2024, 2 Black women were elected to the U.S. Senate in the same election cycle for the first time in history. Black history is not just American history, it's global history. The African diaspora has influenced cultures worldwide, from the Caribbean to Europe. Black contributions have transformed music, literature, sports, and political thought. The story of Black history is one of resilience, resistance, and triumph, shaping the world we live in today.